be taking a look at how we can create AD B2C directory in Azure. We'll also look how we will be able to link it to a subscription and then register an application to make use of this Active Directory. So let's start with the first step. Now here we need to click on create resource and search for Active Directory B2C. Select it, Azure Active Directory B2C, and then it's going to open up this screen. You need to click on create. Here you need to select your subscription and resource group, and once that's done you need to click on this review plus create. But before doing that, I would like to tell you that these services should be part of your subscription, and as of now this one is not part of the subscription that I'm having. So let's go ahead and first of all add this Azure Active Directory service to our subscription. For that you need to click on all services link that is over here in the side navigation bar. Clicking on that will open up this screen. Here you need to go to subscriptions, and here once you've selected your subscription you need to go to resource providers. Click on that link, and here you need to select this Microsoft Azure Active Directory. Select it and click on this register button. So once you have selected resource provider, now you need to search for the Active Directory, and as you can see I clicked on that and currently it's being registered. And once the status is done, then we can go back to this screen and hit review plus create button. So just wait for a moment now, and now you can see that it says registered. So we can go back, and now here go ahead and click on review plus create. This will be first of all validated, and once that's done you can click on create button, and you can see that it says tenant creation is in progress. This is going to take a few minutes. So once done, the next step that we'll be required to do is registering or linking our Active Directory with the subscription. Once the tenant creation is successful, you will get this link which says tenant creation was successful. Click here to navigate to your new tenant. Let's click on that. Now before going any further, the next step that we need to do is linking it to a subscription. So now you are in your serverless tenant. What we need to do is, let's keep this over here, go back to the previous screen where we had this link, click on create a resource again, and now what we need to do is link the serverless tenant that we created with a subscription. So here select Azure Active Directory B2C and click on create. This time you need to select this option, link an existing Azure AD B2C tenant to my Azure subscription. Click that. And here, so for free trial subscriptions this is not required, but for pay as you go subscriptions you can obviously find your tenant over here and then link it. Let's move on to the next step after that, that's registering an application. Here you have two ways to register an application. First one is by clicking on get started over here, or you can go and select the app registrations under the manage navigation menu. Click on that, and here click on new registration. Here you can provide the name, that's the display name for this application, and remember to choose the third option, that's accounts and any identity provider or organizational directory for authenticating users with user flows. After that, here you have three options: public, client, native, web and single page applications, and then select this one, public, client, native, mobile application, and hit register. You can say that it's creating the application now. Once created, you will be presented with an overview page. On this overview page you will notice there are a couple of things which are being displayed, like the display name, application and directory object ID, and over here you will see redirect URLs. So we can add a URL over here to our application by clicking on this add a platform, and in that we need to select web, and here we can provide the URL to which it will be redirected. But there are scenarios where you want to know what exactly this is returning, and you need to identify the object data based on which you will be performing certain actions when it will be actually returned to your website. For such purposes, we have jwt.ms to our rescue, which allows us to do the same. So here I'll be entering that as the URL. So here you can select single page applications, because in our case that is what we are doing. Instead of selecting web, we'll go with single page applications, and then here, as mentioned, we'll have the JWT MS configured, and here we can mention access tokens used for implicit flows. So in our case the JavaScript will be used to send requests for these access tokens, and it will directly get it from this. Now let's click on configure. Now once we are done with specifying the redirect URL, let's go and click on Azure AD B2C link on top, and here click on identity providers. In our case, we will be going with local account, as we will be making use of the email address entered by the user to create their account and use the same one for login purposes. So click on this one, and here you can see local accounts can be created using email ID. That's what we have, and if you update this, you have the option to change it. For now, we will be going with this one. Next thing in this step, we'll be selecting or going with user flows. Clicking on that will bring you this screen, and as you can see, we don't have any user flow as of now. So what we'll do is we'll click on this new user flow button, and here you are presented with some predefined user flows. As we mentioned that we will be going with sign up and sign in, we can go ahead and select this option. And now that we have two versions for it, one is recommended, the other one is standard option. So let's go with standard for now and click on create. Here, as you can see, we are supposed to provide a few things like the name itself. So here I'm providing register and login. Local account will be our email setup. We are not providing any multi-factor authentication as of now. And here, whatever is required, you can select under collect attribute and then click create over here. Once the user flow is created, click on that, and here you will see many options like properties. Let's click on that first. You can see all the properties for this particular user flow. Then you have identity providers. Remember, we had the identity providers at the time of setup, so you can go ahead and add new ones over here by clicking on manage identity providers. As of now, we are making use of local accounts. Then we have user attributes. So here you can see that user attributes are values collected on sign up. So if you will select these options, basically your user sign up form will be presented with all these values. As I checked email address, so by default email address will be present in the sign up form itself. Now let's go on to application claims. Now application claim basically returns data when you are authenticated. Here I'll be going ahead and selecting email address as well. So whenever the user sign up will be successful, an email address along with identity provider, which is selected by default, will be returned to us. Now we need to know what is the URL where the user will be redirected for logging in. To do that, you just need to click on run user flow, and here the action window opens up, and you can see the name of the application is coming up, and then the reply URL that we configured, and here is the run user flow endpoint that's provided. And if you notice, the extension is b2clogin.com. You can click on run user flow, and this will open up a new browser window where you will be provided with a login screen. And if you feel like, no, I need to create an account first, go ahead and click on sign up now. And as you can see, we only selected email address. That's the reason why you see email address option over here. This will send a verification code to verify whether the entered email ID is valid or not, and then only it will proceed with account creation. Now if I go ahead and create an account over here, click on this button, send verification code, enter the verification code. So this will be sent to your email ID, and just click on verify code. Once that is done, you can provide your password. Now the purpose of creating this account is to show you the response that will be returned by this AD-B2C tenant. So click on create now, and there you go. When you're coming on this one, you can see the tokens that were provided, and here is the decoded token. Also, if you go back to this directory Azure Active B2C and click on users, you'll be able to find the created user over here in the list. As you can see, I created using the same account, so that's why there's only one user coming up. Now if you go over here and take a look at the JSON web token, this is the token that is being passed over here in the URL itself. You can see it over here, hash ID token equals this, and this one is basically a base64 encoded URL which gets decoded on this website automatically. And you can see that it's broken into 3 parts. This one tells you what's the type of the token, that's JWT, the algorithm, and the key ID used to sign this one. The claims is actually where our email ID was supposed to come. If you remember, when setting up, we basically selected this thing, but in the demonstration the save was not clicked, and that's the reason why you see it's not containing the email of the person, and other details are obviously coming up like issuer, version, nuance, IAT, auth time. Details of these claims can also be seen on the other tab where it explains what exactly it is under the notes section. The next thing about this was customization. So you can customize your login page by going to page layouts, and as you can see it says select a page to customize its appearance. For instance, if I select this one, again go ahead and choose this, use custom page content as yes, and then I can provide a custom URL. Then the page layout version can be provided over here. So that's how you can customize it over here. We'll be sticking with the default one provided by ADB2C. Now that we are done with this, we'll be looking into how we can make use of this particular thing to authenticate our application requests.